The next column gets into the 4 mindsets that I teach in the Replaceable Founder, and those are cog, engine, engineer, and inventor. Now, unless you're going through all sort of the Replaceable Founder ethos, then this is not as critical to this exercise, but I'm going to explain it really quickly so you can kind of do it anyway. So the shortcut version is that these are mindsets, purely mindsets. They have nothing to do with the actual activity or how you're doing it. And the way to think about it is a cog is really stuck. It's really the minutia, the prescriptive work, the boring in some cases. There's no flexibility, no ability to leave that activity. And if you don't do it, the business does not continue to operate or grow in your absence. So if you run a bakery and you are doing all the baking, that's cog work. Now, to be fair, you may love that kind of work. You may love doing the actual baking. But if you don't have a system in place where if you're not there, the baking doesn't happen, then you're a cog. Next is the engine. The engine is the sort of encompassing driving force of the business, right? Same issue in some ways, but now you have sort of a little bit of a higher level view on things. You have a little bit more flexibility, right? So if you're now, you're not the baker, but now you're the one planning the menu for the week. You're planning the recipes, all that kind of stuff. And again, the bakers can keep making the chocolate chip cookies without you, but if we're going to make next week's recipe, which is going to be something different, they can't do that without you. So you get a few days here or there, but you really don't have as much flexibility. You are now the bottleneck, right? So things are moving, but they're still moving through you. And as such, things will slow down because of you. So cog and engine. Then we have the leap from engine to engineer. Now, the difference there is what I usually tell people is the difference between working in the business versus working on the business. So the engineer is a pretty good place to be, right? You're not under the hood anymore. You now have that sort of bird's eye view. You can direct people to do things. You have ideas. You can put things into place, but you still kind of have to be there. You have some more flexibility, but you're still kind of in a corral. You are able to work on things that accelerate you towards a better goal of growing the company. You're able to integrate work and life a little bit more in that scenario. So better, but that's still just good enough. What we ultimately want people to get to in most cases is the inventor. Now, the difference, as I said, between engine and engineer is the difference between working in the business versus working on the business. The difference between engineer and inventor is the difference between pushing the business forward with your hands versus pushing the business forward with your voice or ideas, right? Think about it that way. Hands, you got to be there. Voice and ideas, you do not. The inventor gets to focus on where they have the greatest genius and what brings them the most joy and where they can have the most impact. They have the flexibility to work anywhere, anyhow, anytime. Asynchronous communication would be an example of that. And they have the freedom to leave the business if they so chose to. Not permanently necessarily, they could, but the idea is that they can leave, they can go out, they can explore, they can learn, and then they can come back and contribute those findings to the business. And while they were gone, the business continued to grow. And that's where Inventor lives. Now, again, these are mindsets. These are not necessarily technical, logistical, people things that you have to have in place. It's really about how we approach the work that we do.